My family hiding my ex's affair to protect me, but when I found out about their secret group chat, so I made a move to completely silence them. I'm a 29-year-old guy, the oldest in my family. I've got 3 siblings, a sister who's 27, a brother who's 25, and the youngest, a 22-year-old sister. For most of my life, I felt like we were a pretty close-knit family. We have these Sunday dinners every week, and it's something I always looked forward to: holidays, birthdays, and even random weekend get-togethers. My family has always been at the center of my social life, or at least, that's how it used to be. Lately, though, things have felt different. It's hard to explain, but there's been a weird shift in the way everyone acts around me. At first, I thought I was imagining it. I'd show up to dinner, and it seemed like I was missing parts of the conversation. They'd laugh about something that happened, and when I asked what they were talking about, I'd get vague answers like, "Oh, just catching up," or "You had to be there." I chalked it up to me being paranoid. I figured maybe it was just my anxiety making me read into things too much. But then I saw something that didn't sit right with me. It was a random Tuesday night, and I was scrolling through Instagram before bed. My brother's girlfriend had posted a story. It was a photo of my family at a restaurant, a nice one too, the kind we usually reserve for special occasions. They all looked happy, laughing together. But the thing is, I wasn't there. I hadn't even known about it. At first, I thought maybe it was an old photo, but the timestamp was from that night. The next day, I casually brought it up to my mom. I didn't want to seem accusatory, so I just mentioned that I saw the photo and asked if they'd had a nice time. She gave me this weird, almost guilty smile and said, "Oh, it was just a last-minute thing. We thought you were busy with work." It felt off. My schedule isn't exactly unpredictable, and even if it were, they usually check in with me. I didn't push it, but the more I thought about it, the more uneasy I felt. A few days later, I was hanging out with my best friend, and I told her about what happened. She agreed it was strange, and said I should just ask them directly if something was going on. I wanted to, but the idea of it made me feel sick. I was scared of what I might find out. So, I decided to let it go and hope it was a one-time thing. But it wasn't. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing more and more events I wasn't invited to. Little things at first: brunches, game nights, a trip to the beach. I only found out because of social media posts or random comments in our group chats. It wasn't just one person leaving me out either. It seemed like everyone was in on it, and I had no idea why. That's when I decided to start paying closer attention. I looked through the family group chat and realized there were jokes and references I didn't get, things I had no context for. It felt like there were 2 different versions of my family, the one I was part of and the one I wasn't. I decided I needed to confront them, but every time I worked up the nerve, something stopped me. It's hard to describe the feeling of standing in a room full of people you love and suddenly realizing you're an outsider. I thought maybe I'd done something to upset them, but I couldn't think of anything specific. I hadn't had any major arguments with anyone recently, and as far as I knew, things were fine between us. The breaking point came last Sunday. We usually have dinner at my parents' house, but my mom called me in the afternoon to say they were rescheduling. She didn't give a reason, just said they'd let me know when they'd plan the next one. I was a little disappointed, but I figured maybe something came up later that night. I was scrolling through Instagram again, and there it was. Another post from my brother's girlfriend. It was a group photo of them all at my parents' house, eating dinner like usual. My entire family was there, except for me. They had the Sunday dinner without me and didn't even bother to tell me. That's when everything clicked. This wasn't just a few random missed invitations. They were deliberately excluding me. It felt like a punch to the gut. I wanted to call them right then and there, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I just sat there, staring at the photo, trying to figure out what could have changed so suddenly. I spent the next few days avoiding them. I skipped answering texts and didn't respond in the group chat. I didn't know how to face them without breaking down or getting angry. In the meantime, I started paying closer attention to their social media posts and the things they were saying to each other. I was looking for any hint of what I might have done wrong, but there was nothing obvious. It got to the point where I couldn't ignore it anymore. I posted on Reddit, asking if anyone else had experienced something similar. The responses were overwhelming. People told me I wasn't crazy, that something was definitely up, and I needed to confront my family directly. Just when I thought things couldn't get any stranger, I got a private message from an anonymous account. It said, "I know why they're avoiding you, but you're not ready to hear it yet." Before I could reply, the message was deleted. I was left staring at my screen, more confused than ever. What could be so big that they felt the need to hide it from me? I realized I couldn't avoid this any longer. I had to confront them and find out the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I decided enough was enough. I couldn't keep guessing why my own family was shutting me out, so I made a plan. My mom had mentioned a casual family brunch at a nearby cafe this weekend. I figured this would be the perfect time to confront them. I was nervous as hell, but determined. I couldn't ignore it anymore, not after seeing them post about another dinner without me. I showed up early and got us a table, trying to keep my nerves in check. One by one, they trickled in, my brother, then my sisters, and finally my parents. They all seemed surprised to see me already there, almost like they hadn't expected me to show up. I made small talk at first, trying to keep it casual until everyone was settled, but the tension was thick. My brother kept looking at his phone, my sister was unusually quiet, and my mom looked like she was forcing herself to smile. We ordered food, and I decided to get straight to the point. I brought up the photo I'd seen on Instagram, the one where they were all having dinner without me. I expected maybe a bit of guilt or an apology, but instead, they just looked at each other like they were caught off guard. My mom quickly tried to brush it off, saying they thought I was busy with work, but I wasn't buying it. This wasn't the first time it had happened. I pressed on, listing off specific events I'd found out about through social media. The beach day, the brunches, the weekend getaway. The table went quiet. You could hear a pin drop. My brother gave my mom a sideways glance, like he wanted to say something but didn't dare. My youngest sister started fiddling with her napkin, avoiding eye contact. The silence dragged on, and it felt like the whole cafe was staring at us. I didn't care anymore. I asked them flat out if I had done something wrong. Had I upset them? Was there a reason I was being left out like this? My voice got louder, and I could feel tears welling up, but I held them back. I was shaking, but I needed answers. My mom started saying it wasn't a big deal, that I was making something out of nothing. My brother cut her off, looking frustrated. He blurted out that there was a reason they hadn't been including me, but it was complicated. My dad gave him a warning look, but the damage was already done. I demanded to know what was so complicated that my own family couldn't tell me about it. That's when things escalated. My sister tried to calm me down, reaching for my hand, but I pulled away. I was furious. I told them I deserved the truth. If there was something going on, I had a right to know. They all just sat there, staring at me like they didn't know what to say. It was like I was a stranger to them. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my jacket, stood up, and walked out. I didn't even look back. I heard my mom calling my name, but I ignored it. I got into my car and just drove. I had no idea where I was going. I just needed to get away. That night, I got a text from my youngest sister. She said it wasn't what I thought and promised she'd explain everything soon, but begged me for a little more time. I didn't reply. What was there to say? I felt like I had just opened a wound that was already festering, and now I was left bleeding out with no closure. Then, late that night, my phone rang. It was my dad. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity got the better of me. He sounded different, quieter, almost guilty. He apologized for the brunch fiasco and said he was sorry for how everything had unfolded. I asked him to tell me the truth, but he just said it wasn't his place to explain. He kept repeating that it was complicated and that I needed to trust them. I hung up, feeling even more lost than before. The next morning, I decided to reach out to my aunt. She's always been like a second mom to me, and I figured if anyone would tell me what was going on, it would be her. We talked for a bit, but the whole conversation felt off. She seemed surprised when I told her what happened, and there were these long pauses where it felt like she was trying to decide what to say. Before we ended the call, she gave me this cryptic warning. Just be patient. You'll understand soon enough. Then she hung up. I was left staring at my phone, more confused than ever. What could be so big that everyone was keeping it from me, and why did it feel like they were all on the same page except for me? After the disastrous brunch confrontation, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously off. My sister's cryptic text and my dad's guilty-sounding apology only made things worse. I realized that if I wanted answers, I'd have to dig for them myself. My family clearly wasn't ready to spill the truth, so I decided to go full detective mode. I needed a way to see what was happening behind the scenes without tipping anyone off. I asked my best friend if I could borrow her phone to set up a new Instagram account. I made it look like a generic profile, following my family members and a few of their close friends. I figured if I was missing out on events, there might be clues I could find through their posts or stories. It didn't take long for something to slip up. A couple of days later, my youngest sister posted an Instagram story of her and my brother at what looked like a casual family hangout, but it was a screenshot of a text exchange that she must have posted by mistake. In the corner of the screenshot, I noticed the name of the group chat, Family Time No Op. My heart dropped. I took a quick screenshot before she could delete it. There it was, right in front of me. They actually had a group chat specifically without me in it. This wasn't just a few missed invites. They'd created a whole space to talk behind my back. I felt sick, but I knew I needed to play it smart. I couldn't just go in guns blazing without figuring out what this was about. Later that night, I called my youngest sister and asked her to meet up. We met at a small coffee shop, and as soon as I showed her the screenshot, her face went pale. She started stammering, saying it was a mistake and that I wasn't supposed to see that. I pressed her, asking why there was a group chat without me. She looked like she was about to cry, and I could tell she was panicking. After a long silence, she admitted it. The group chat had been created about 6 months ago, and it was specifically to discuss something personal that they didn't want me to know about. She begged me not to tell our parents that she'd spilled the beans. I asked her what was so personal that it warranted keeping me out of the loop, but she just kept shaking her head, saying it wasn't her place to explain. I realized she was genuinely scared. And it made me even more worried about what could possibly be so big that they were all hiding it from me. On the drive home, I couldn't stop thinking about the timeline she mentioned. 6 months ago. That's around the time things started going wrong between me and Kevin, and everything felt like it was falling apart. My family had liked him at first. He'd come to Sunday dinners, they'd invite him to family events, and my mom even called him a good match for me. But then, almost overnight, their attitude shifted. They stopped asking about him, and whenever I brought him up, they'd change the subject. We broke up not long after, but I always assumed it was just a coincidence. I decided I had to reach out to Kevin. It felt awkward after everything that happened between us, but he might know something. I called him, and when he picked up, I could tell he was surprised to hear from me. I asked him if he knew anything about my family's sudden change in behavior, and there was this long pause. He sounded uncomfortable and told me he didn't want to get involved. He said it wasn't his place and then tried to end the call. I pushed him, telling him that I was done being kept in the dark and that I needed the truth. He finally admitted there was a situation involving my family right before we broke up, but he refused to give me any details. He said it wasn't something he should be the one to tell me and hung up. I was left staring at my phone, more confused than ever. I went straight to Reddit after that, updating everyone with what I'd found out. The responses blew up instantly. People were all over the place with their theories. Some thought it might be a hidden affair. Others suggested financial trouble, and a few even speculated about secret paternity issues. I started getting messages from people saying they'd been through something similar, but none of it really added up. Then I got a private message from a burner account. The message simply read, "Your family thinks they're protecting you. They don't want you to find out about what happened last year." Before I could reply, the account was deleted. I had no idea what this person was talking about. I tried to think back to any big events from last year, but nothing stood out that would justify all of this secrecy. By this point, I'd had enough. I drove straight to my parents' house, determined to get answers. I walked in without knocking, catching them both off guard. I didn't waste any time with small talk. I told them I knew about the secret group chat and demanded they tell me why I was being left out. My mom looked like she was about to cry, and my dad just stared at the floor, avoiding my eyes. Before either of them could speak, my brother came in through the front door. He took one look at the scene and exploded. He yelled at them, saying that I deserved to know the truth and that they couldn't keep lying to me anymore. He stormed out before I could get a word in, slamming the door behind him. I turned back to my parents, but they still refused to tell me anything. My mom just kept repeating, "You'll know soon, just trust us." It felt like a nightmare. I left their house, feeling more isolated than ever, knowing that whatever this secret was, it was tearing my family apart. I don't know what's coming next, but I'm done waiting. I'm going to find out the truth, even if it means breaking every barrier they've put up. I couldn't keep playing their game of silence anymore. After what happened with my brother storming out and my parents refusing to talk, I hit a breaking point. I opened up the main family group chat, the one I'm still in, and sent a message, "I'm done. If you don't tell me what's going on, I'm cutting contact. I won't speak to any of you again until I get the truth." The response was almost immediate. My phone started buzzing with messages, but the first one was a call from my youngest sister. She sounded panicked, pleading with me to meet her in person. She promised she'd tell me everything if I just gave her a chance to explain. I agreed, setting up a meeting at a quiet cafe we used to go to as kids. It was a neutral spot, away from the rest of the family. When I arrived, she was already there, sitting in the corner, looking nervous. Her eyes darted around the room, like she was expecting someone to walk in and interrupt us. I sat down, and before I could even say anything, she started talking, her voice barely above a whisper. It felt like she was unburdening herself after carrying this weight for too long. She told me that last year, one of our family friends saw Kevin out with someone else, and it seemed suspicious. It wasn't just a casual meeting, they were acting like a couple. The family friend had snapped a photo and sent it to my mom. From there, everything spiraled. My mom showed it to my dad, and they decided to confront Kevin directly instead of telling me. Apparently, Kevin admitted to cheating but begged them not to tell me. He said he was planning to end things with me soon anyway and didn't want to make it messy. My family, in their infinite wisdom, decided to take matters into their own hands. They made a deal with him. He would break up with me quickly and cleanly, and they wouldn't say a word about the affair. They thought they were sparing me the pain of knowing the truth. As my sister told me this, she looked genuinely upset, like she was reliving it all herself. She said the secret group chat was created shortly after that to make sure no one accidentally let it slip. They used it to coordinate everything, from avoiding mentions of Kevin to planning events without me. They were trying to protect me, she insisted, but now she realized how badly they had messed up. I just sat there, listening. It felt like time had stopped. I wasn't sure if I was going to scream, cry, or just walk out. My sister kept apologizing, saying she thought they were doing the right thing at the time. She admitted that now, seeing how much it hurt me to be left out, she knew it was a huge mistake. They all did. I got up without saying a word and left the cafe. I couldn't sit there any longer, not after hearing that my entire family had conspired behind my back, thinking they knew what was best for me. I drove around aimlessly for a while, trying to process everything. It felt like I was living someone else's life, like this couldn't possibly be happening. Later that night, I went back to my parents' house. I needed to confront them face to face. I walked in, and they both looked like they'd been waiting for me, like they knew this conversation was coming. I asked them why they thought they had the right to make such a huge decision for me. My mom started crying immediately, saying she thought she was protecting me, that she couldn't stand the thought of me being heartbroken. She kept saying she was sorry, over and over again. My brother was there too. He admitted that he was the most vocal about keeping the secret. He said he couldn't stand to see me hurt and thought this was the best way to handle it. He apologized, but it felt hollow. The damage was done. I told them all that I couldn't believe they'd think it was okay to manipulate my life like that, to make deals behind my back. Then they brought up the secret group chat. My dad, who had stayed mostly quiet, explained that they'd created it specifically to avoid accidentally letting anything slip about Kevin's infidelity. They thought it was better this way, that I'd be spared the pain of knowing the truth. I told them that all they did was destroy my trust in them. I couldn't even look at them without feeling betrayed. I left the house, telling them I needed time away. I couldn't be around them, not right now. I don't know if I can ever forgive them for this level of deceit. They took away my choice to deal with my own relationship, to face the truth and make my own decisions. Instead, they played God with my life, and I'm left to pick up the pieces. After everything came crashing down, I knew I needed space. I couldn't handle the constant messages and calls from my family, each of them trying to explain or apologize in their own way. I muted the group chat and blocked them on social media. I needed time to process what I'd learned without their voices in my head. For a full month, I went no contact. It was like a detox, but with a constant ache that never really went away. During that time, I decided to see a therapist. I felt like my world had flipped upside down, and I wasn't sure how to even start putting the pieces back together. In our first session, I didn't hold back. I laid it all out, the betrayal, the secret chat, the deal they made with Kevin behind my back. My therapist listened carefully, and we started unpacking everything. She pointed out that while my family's intentions might have been to protect me, their actions were controlling and manipulative. It was validating to hear that I wasn't overreacting. About 2 weeks into my break from them, I got an unexpected email from Kevin. I almost deleted it without reading it, but curiosity got the better of me. It was a long message, filled with apologies. He said he regretted everything, the cheating, the lies, the way he handled our breakup. He admitted that my family had pressured him to end things quickly, and he didn't push back because he thought it would be easier. He wrote that he wished he'd been honest with me from the start, and that he was sorry for the pain he caused. Reading his words felt like ripping open an old wound. It brought back memories I'd tried to bury, and I couldn't help but wonder how much of our breakup was really my decision versus how much was orchestrated by my family. I shared the email with my therapist, and she helped me work through the emotions it brought up. She advised me not to respond, at least not right away, and to focus on processing what it meant for me rather than diving back into the mess. Then, out of nowhere, my aunt called. She's the one I'd reached out to early on, hoping for answers. She'd stayed out of the drama until now, but it seemed she'd finally heard about the fallout. We met up, and she didn't waste any time getting to the point. She told me that the family's actions were driven by fear, not malice. Apparently, my mom had gone through something similar when she was younger. She was cheated on badly, and it left her devastated for years. My aunt believed that my mom was projecting her own trauma onto me, trying to shield me from the same pain she experienced, even if it meant lying to me. Hearing this was like finding another piece of the puzzle. It didn't excuse what they did, but it gave me some context. It made sense why my mom had been the most adamant about keeping the secret, why she'd looked so desperate during our confrontation. I could almost see her, younger, in the way she acted, stuck in the same loop of pain, trying to prevent history from repeating itself. My brother reached out next, suggesting we try family therapy. He told me that he and my sisters had already started going to sessions together, trying to work through their guilt and figure out how to make things right. He said they'd do whatever it took to rebuild my trust, even if it meant starting from scratch. It was the first sign that they were really taking this seriously. I wasn't sure if I was ready to sit in a room with all of them yet, but I appreciated the gesture. The next surprise came from my best friend. She pulled me aside one night and admitted that she'd known something was off last year. She'd noticed how weird my family was acting around Kevin, but she didn't have any proof and didn't want to make things worse by bringing it up without evidence. She said she felt guilty for not telling me sooner but had been angry on my behalf ever since. She even offered to come with me to a therapy session if I needed moral support. I decided to have a one-on-one conversation with my dad first. He'd been the quietest throughout all of this, and I wanted to hear his side. We met up at a park, away from the house and any distractions. He didn't try to defend what happened. Instead, he looked me in the eye and apologized. He said he didn't agree with the plan from the start, but went along with it because he didn't want to upset my mom. He admitted he felt like he'd failed as a parent, that he should have stood up for me and told the truth. For the first time since this all started, I felt a small crack in the wall I'd built up. His honesty didn't fix everything, but it was a start. It helped me see that this wasn't an easy decision for any of them, and it made me consider the possibility of forgiveness. I told him I'd think about joining them for a family therapy session, but I made it clear that I needed to set some boundaries. I told them that if I agreed to go, they'd have to let me lead the conversation. No more secrets, no more lies. If they couldn't handle that, I'd walk out and we'd be done. He agreed. It was a small step, but it felt like the first one towards something better. I'm still not sure where we go from here, but at least we're not stuck in the same cycle of silence and avoidance. For now, I'm taking it day by day. It's going to be a long road, but maybe, just maybe, there's a way forward. The first family therapy session was scheduled, and I walked in not knowing what to expect. The air felt heavy, and everyone seemed on edge, like we were all trying to avoid saying the wrong thing. My therapist started off by setting the ground rules, giving us a safe space to talk, but no one spoke up right away. It was tense. We sat there, avoiding eye contact. The silence was louder than anything we could have said. Eventually, my therapist turned to me and asked me to start. I took a deep breath and laid it all out. The betrayal I felt from the secret group chat, the lies they told me about Kevin, and how they'd made decisions for me without ever asking what I wanted. I didn't sugarcoat anything. I just told them what happened and how it hurt. That's when my mom broke down. She started crying, saying she thought she was protecting me. She explained that seeing me with Kevin reminded her of a painful experience from her past, one she never wanted me to go through. She admitted she made a huge mistake and kept apologizing, saying she realized now that she stole my agency and trust by keeping everything from me. My siblings stayed quiet, but I could see the guilt on their faces. My brother finally spoke up, admitting that he should have stood up against the plan. He said he was too afraid of upsetting our mom and thought it was better to go along with it at the time. He apologized too, saying he regretted not telling me the truth sooner. I told them how painful it was to be excluded and manipulated like that, how I felt like an outsider in my own family. It wasn't just about the secret they kept, it was about the trust they broke. We all sat there in silence for a moment, letting it sink in. Then I set some clear boundaries. No more secrets, no more making decisions for me. If they couldn't respect that, I'd walk away. They all agreed. It felt like a small victory, but I knew it was only the beginning of a long road ahead. In a symbolic gesture, my brother pulled out his phone right there in the session and deleted the secret group chat in front of everyone. My sisters did the same. They promised to use the main family chat from now on and swore not to hide anything from me again. It didn't fix everything, but it was a start. After the session, I decided it was time to close another chapter. I responded to Kevin's email. I thanked him for his apology but made it clear that I wasn't interested in reopening that door. I told him I needed closure and that I was moving on with my life. I didn't want to hold on to any more bitterness or what-ifs. He replied briefly, saying he understood and wished me the best. It felt like a weight off my shoulders. Over the next few weeks, I noticed small but meaningful changes in my family's behavior. They checked in with me more often, invited me to casual meetups, and made a real effort to include me in plans. It wasn't perfect, and there were still awkward moments, but it was better than before. They were trying, and that meant something. We decided to start a new tradition, a monthly family dinner where we'd openly discuss whatever was on our minds. No more avoiding tough conversations. At the first dinner, I suggested we each share something we were struggling with. It was awkward at first, but my brother spoke up about how much guilt he'd been carrying since the secret was revealed. My mom opened up about her anxieties, how she'd been projecting her own past trauma onto me without realizing it. It was the first time we'd ever been this honest with each other. It wasn't easy, but it felt like we were finally on the right path. Just when I thought I was ready to close the book on this chapter, I got an unexpected letter in the mail. It was from the family friend who had initially spotted Kevin with the other woman. The letter was filled with apologies. They explained that they never intended for things to spiral like this. They'd tried to tell me directly about what they'd seen, but my mom intercepted them and insisted they keep it quiet. It was a shocking twist, but it also helped me piece together the final missing part of the story. I decided to have one last conversation with my mom. We met up, and it was just the two of us. We both ended up crying. She admitted she'd let her own fears and past trauma dictate her actions. She said she realized now that she was projecting her own pain onto me, trying to control the situation instead of letting me face it myself. It was a raw, emotional talk, but it ended with a hug and a promise to try and start fresh. Looking back, I've learned a lot from all of this. I've realized the importance of honesty, even when it hurts. I've seen how secrets and lies can destroy trust, no matter the intentions behind them. Rebuilding that trust is going to take time, but I finally feel like we're on the right path. It's not perfect, and it's definitely not easy, but for the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful about the future. I'm cautiously optimistic, taking things one day at a time. My family and I still have a lot of work to do, but at least now we're doing it together, and that feels like a good place to start.